In London, tower blocks were built after World War II as an affordable housing solution. Over time, however, they deteriorated and became havens for criminal activity. Redevelopment efforts have aimed to tear them down, but many still stand due to the difficulty of evicting current tenants. One such block, Serenity House, is set to be demolished, but only after the last few residents on the top floor are removed. One night, a teenager named Nick is seen running for his life, trying to escape two thugs. He ducks into Serenity House, but the elevator isn't working. He sprints up the stairs, banging on doors and begging for help. Residents ignore him, some even double-checking their locks. Eventually, the thugs catch him and begin beating him. Becky, a resident, watches through the peephole. She tries calling the police, but is left on hold. Desperate, she intervenes, only to be overpowered and beaten herself. The thugs drag Nick away as he cries for help. The next day, police arrive after Nick is found dead. Becky lies, claiming she saw nothing and was mugged. Detective Devlin, skeptical, confronts her, knowing paramedics found her in the corridor. Still, Becky refuses to identify the attackers. Devlin, frustrated, promises protection for any witness, but Becky slams the door in his face. 3 months later, Curtis goes door to door collecting protection money. Becky mocks him for raising the price. Neville refuses to be intimidated and says he only pays to protect his wife, Vivian. Local dealers Gary and Mark offer to help Curtis, who just takes their cigarette and walks away. In his apartment, Paul struggles with his sobriety before giving in to alcohol. That evening, Becky runs into Jenny, a neighbor who regularly leaves her kids alone to party. When Becky silently judges her, Jenny lashes out. The next morning, the building's internet is down, preventing anyone from sending messages. Becky wakes up next to a co-worker after a one-night stand. They're having breakfast when he's suddenly shot through the window. A sniper nearby reloads for his next shot. Chaos erupts as residents are attacked through their windows. Some die instantly, others are injured or narrowly escape. Survivors gather in the hallway, unable to call for help. Carol suggests leaving, but the elevator is broken, and Daniel, her son, warns that exiting might expose them further. Gary appears with a wounded Mark, but Carol refuses help, bitter about past betrayals. Violet offers first aid. Jenny appears, devastated. Both her children were killed. Violet tends to another wounded woman who dies before she can be helped. Her husband, Jeff, screams for help. Becky and Paul crawl to retrieve him. When Jeff sees his wife's body, he breaks down. Realizing Curtis is missing, Becky and Paul force their way into his apartment. Curtis, startled, attacks Becky until she explains the sniper situation. Skeptical, Curtis forces her toward the window to prove it, but Paul intervenes. When Curtis opens the curtains, a sniper's bullet destroys his pillow. Now convinced, he joins the others in the hallway. The group speculates whether the sniper is a developer or a professional. The use of military-grade weapons and organized setup suggests something more deliberate. Posters with emoticons, "See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil," are found throughout the building, suggesting motive. They debate escape plans. Becky suggests the roof. Violet recommends tying fire hoses instead of sheets. Arguments ensue about who should attempt the dangerous descent. Jenny interprets the posters as judgment for their silence over Nick's murder. Accepting this, she re-enters her apartment and is immediately killed. Curtis notices posters were specifically painted on Gary and Mark's door. Confronting them, Curtis beats them until they confess they were the thugs who beat Nick. His death was an accident. The group debates turning them over to the sniper. Curtis decides for them. He exposes them through the window, getting both shot. Curtis returns to the group unapologetically. Carol tries to flee with Daniel, but the group stops her. Becky pleads for reason, prompting Carol to cruelly claim Becky can't understand loss. Becky slaps her. Eventually, Carol leaves, thinking it's safe. She and Daniel are both shot dead. Becky pushes forward with her roof plan. Paul volunteers instead, admitting he has no one. They tie hoses and prepare. Paul begins descending, but the sniper shoots at the hose, eventually causing him to fall to his death. Devastated, Becky declares they'll burn the building down to force a response. That night, they prepare their last meal. In the morning, Becky and Neville descend the elevator shaft. Curtis rigs the building with oil, microwaves, and open gas lines. A massive explosion follows. Curtis tries to escape but injures his leg. As smoke fills the building, the developer and his assistant arrive but are also killed by the sniper. Becky hides while Neville carries Curtis. The sniper, now inside, throws a smoke grenade. Becky sneaks out, grabs a nail gun from the developer's car, and ambushes the sniper. She's wounded, but Neville and Curtis attack him. They unmask the sniper, Detective Devlin. He declares the residents deserved to die for their silence. A final fight breaks out. Devlin tases Neville and overpowers Becky. Curtis tries to help, but Devlin gains the upper hand. Just as Devlin is about to kill Becky, she grabs the nail gun and shoots him in the head. With the sniper finally dead, Becky, Neville, and Curtis leave the burning building as firetruck sirens echo in the distance.